I can't change you
Mhm.
until you decide that, okay, this thing I do is not the best. Let me change. And you can't change me. Come on, I've lived all my life
I
doing
know, right?
something. You can't just appear in my life
I
and then with
know.
a snap of a finger,
It's
I'm a
not
saint.
easy.
It's
It's
not. It's
not
not. It's
easy.
not possible actually. Isn't it? A lot of relationships begin on a very happy note with both parties feeling so excited, so in love, and wanting to live happily ever after.
The reality, however, is that most of these relationships fail to stand the test of time.
Yeah,
Why? Because of the things we do unconsciously.
yeah. My name is Ali.
And I am Rita. Let's delve in.
Yes, the first thing we want to talk about is the issue of complacence. And a lot of us guys are culprits of this particular matter. When you want a girl, you move heaven and earth to catch her attention, to get her to go out with
The
you, to date,
calls.
you know. But when eventually she gives in and begins to start a relationship with you, we tend to forget the things that we used to do. And it kind of makes sense. But then it's one of the things that hurts a lot of relationships. Before we started our relationship, I remember we went out, we had fun, and
It wasn't
recently,
just going out, it was a shopping spree.
recently, you were like you thought all of your birthdays was going to be like that, but I kind of assume, or I just take it that because we are together, because you are privy to the accounts and everything, you'll be more understanding. But it looks like it looks like
I mean,
it
why would you
has
start something you can't end?
it looks like it's different for the ladies, and so um sometimes we tend to become complacent and we don't do those beautiful things that we used to do from back in the days, and that can have an effect on the relationship.
I would just like to say that you don't change a winning formula. If you start with this and she fell in love with you because of this, why do you take that out? I mean, just try and then keep doing the things that you used to do for her, because that is what drew her closer to you.
Yeah.
If you were calling, if you were sending her lunch at work, or whatever it is you were doing, you don't need to stop. I think the best thing would be to improve on it instead of
Wow.
stopping.
Wow. Well, in as
you
much as we
know
are talking about it in relation to guys, I mean this matter or this point pertains to both parties as well.
yes,
It's not just a matter of guys. We just must not be complacent and
don't feel so
take yes
comfortable.
and take your partner for
I
granted,
think
right?
me, I'm very comfortable.
And take your partner for granted. You know, you must make a point to do things that make your partner happy. So yes, we've spoken a lot about guys, but it's not just about guys.
Before the relationship started or the marriage started, you were looking good, you were looking your best. But then the relationship has started, or you are now married and you want to show Pepe to who?
Yeah,
You don't
I,
have to.
yeah. I think you to touch on the issue of not changing a winning formula. I think what I would want to add to that is that as much as possible, when trying to get the attention of someone, whether man or woman, you ought to try and be yourself,
Yes.
because I'm thinking that whatever you exhibit prior to the commencement of the relationship, you would be expected to continue.
Yes.
And so, if you are yourself, and if you do the things that
It's
you
easier.
comes to you naturally, you're able to continue in the relationship, and you don't have issues as and when the relationship begins.
Yeah. Another thing we like to talk about would be being insensitive to your partner's likes and dislikes. I mean, nobody likes to be in an environment where someone is constantly doing things that annoy them.
Yeah.
So, you know your man, you know your woman, you know the things she likes, you know the things he likes and dislikes.
And that doesn't
You
like.
should try as much as possible to do them and avoid the ones that annoy them.
Yeah. I think you made a very important statement. You said you know your man, you know your woman. And so I would say that right from the onset, even at the friendship stage, you must make a conscious effort to know the person.
That is even where you know them,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
on the real.
Yeah. You ought to know them very well and know the things they like and don't like. Because really, if you don't know it, if you don't have good knowledge of their likes and dislikes, your chances are high that you'll be doing things, and it's unconscious. It's not that you are intentionally doing things to annoy them. You understand? And this also brings us to the person's temperament. How well do you know your partner's temperament? How well do you know your own temperament?
Yes.
How well do you know your partner's love language?
In fact, do you even know the love language?
Yeah.
Not yours or his,
Yes.
but do you know there's something like that?
Yes.
You need to know.
Yes, and at this point, I should say that we are putting together a whole new video, and something that you really like about love languages. You'd like it, and so it's in the cooking. We'll let you know as and when
If it's a video, don't think it's a YouTube video, babe.
Let's keep it as a surprise. Let's keep it as a surprise. Just understand that we are cooking something for you guys. All right, so expect,
Spicy.
anticipate. Yes. So when it comes to love languages, for instance, chances are high that you are doing something that your partner doesn't appreciate, and it's not as though they are ungrateful or they don't appreciate things, but they probably don't respond to what you are doing in a positive manner. And so knowing your partner is very key to being able to reinforce the things that they like or desist from the things that they don't like.
Again, the question of whether to maintain close relations with people of the opposite sex has always come up, especially in relationships. I do not think it's advisable. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, the issue of exclusivity is very critical when it comes to matters of romantic issues. I would say that when it comes to maintaining close relations with the opposite sex when you're going out, really depends on who you are, who your friend is, and who you are going out with. But if you ask me, I would say that it's not advisable, because sometimes when you maintain close relations with people, it's only a matter of time that you begin to have affection for them. Even if you don't, you cannot control how they feel towards you. And so as much as possible, you ought to try not to complicate your relationship, right? By maintaining people of opposite sex as close friends, because it is possible that by the time you realize you've complicated things for yourself. And so these are some of the things we need to look out for and we need to watch out for, so that we don't mess our relationships up.
You know, this brings us to the issue, our next point, the issue of insecurity.
Yes.
This is a clear breeding ground for your partner to feel insecure.
Yeah. So let's get things clear. The first one is maintaining opposite sex as close friends.
Yes.
And then now we are talking about insecurity, right? Okay.
So I think that everybody has their triggers, what makes them feel insecure. Sometimes you may not be doing anything. You may think you are not doing anything, but how is your partner interpreting what you are doing? I mean, why do you walk out to pick a call? Maybe you just want some privacy about the call or on the call, but how is your partner interpreting that? Maybe you have a deadline to meet, so you need to make calls for those calls to go late into the night. How is your partner, interpreting that? I think communication matters in this. Maybe whatever it is you are doing, let it be clear, let it be transparent. Explain the exact thing you are doing so that there is no room for assumptions.
Yeah.
There is no room for your partner to feel insecure.
Yes. As long as your partner cannot say as a matter of certainty as to whether the relationship is going somewhere or not is troubling, right? Everybody must feel secure in the relationship. And so if you continue to do things that makes your partner feel insecure, chances are high that the relationship may come to an end. And so, yes, again, it takes us back to knowing your partner, knowing what makes them feel insecure. Is it sometimes it's even how you relate with other people of the opposite sex, and that's something we've already spoken about. Sometimes even talking to someone keke, who can bring problems.
Even tight hugs.
Yes, sometimes even the way you hug someone
Yes.
can bring an issue. And
Even pet names.
yes.
Hello, my love. But
Yes.
I mean,
You
your
may
love
you-
is right there with
Yes.
you at home, and you
Yeah.
are on the phone saying, "Hello, my love." Who is that?
Yeah. For you, it might not be anything, but for your partner, it's something. So
Me,
again,
it's something. It's something. I
yes, I
mean,
would.
I'm your only love.
Yeah. I don't be doing that to me. You made me forget what I was going to say.
Let's talk about lies now.
Yeah.
Some people are chronic liars. Situations where they do not have to lie, you find them lying. You know.
I think that some people, some people just feel the need to lie because probably they feel that if they are truthful, their partners will overreact. But the other thing too is that if you are caught lying, trust is broken.
Exactly.
And every relationship thrives on trust.
Yes.
And so if your partner just can't trust you anymore, chances are high that the relationship will be compromised, and you really don't want that.
Yeah.
So as much as possible, difficult as it may be, you have to lie. Mind you, there are different types of lies. And there is
difficult as it may be, you have to lie.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, that's what
Difficult as it may be, you have to be truthful.
Yes.
And I was talking about the different types of lies. And one is lie of omission. That one is basically deliberately leaving out certain details just so that your partner doesn't overreact or something. And so that is also in itself a type of lie. And so as much as possible, we have to do our best to be truthful and to be transparent, right?
Yes, let's try our best to be truthful and transparent.
Yeah. The next point we want to talk about is complaining too much about your partner's weaknesses.
Yeah, it's irritating to be constantly reminded of your weaknesses, what you are not doing right, what you are doing, out of the.
Yeah, there's it's tempting to be always upset about what you think your partner is not doing right. But then, if you ask me, I would say that as much as possible, I mean, we all have weaknesses, and that's a fact. But instead of being fixated on your partner's weaknesses, how about focusing on what you have control over, which is yourself, your own weaknesses?
Okay.
Asking yourself, how can I be a better person for my partner? And this works in both ways. Otherwise, it won't succeed. We are both trying to be the best versions
one person
of
may
ourselves.
feel like I'm probably giving too much and he's not giving out anything.
Yeah. So I asked myself, what are Rita's dislikes? How can I work on myself to be able to stop doing the things that she doesn't like? And she does the same as well. What are my dislikes? How can she work on herself to be able to be a better version of myself? And if you're a couple and you do this, you realize that you constantly develop yourselves in being better versions of yourselves for each other, rather than trying to change Rita. Because I cannot succeed.
I'm Rita, by the way.
Yes. They don't know your name. I can't change you until you decide that, okay, this thing I do is not the best. Let me change. and you can't change me. Come on, I've lived all my life
I
doing
know, right?
something. You can't just appear in my life
I
and then
know.
with a snap of a finger, I'm
It's
a
not
saint.
easy.
It's
It's
not. It's
not
not. It's
easy.
not possible. Actually, don't even say it's not
And it's
easy.
really tempting to see something you don't like about, if it's something you don't like and then you just blurt it out. I don't like this about you, or you are doing this and I don't like it.
It's fine. We can
So
communicate.
how do we say it? How do you say what you don't like, that you know it's something you do. It's who you are, but I don't like it. How do you say it?
I think how you say it is always going to be dependent on who you are dealing with. You know, because sometimes how you say it to me, if you say it to another person, the person might feel offended. So
Okay.
it goes back to knowing your partner. It goes
Yes.
back to knowing when to communicate certain things and how to communicate certain things. You understand? So if I sit here, or if we sit here and say that, say it this way, we might mislead. And so it really goes back to knowing who you are dealing with and how to say things. But you must be observant enough to try and understand what they don't like. Okay? Or you must be observant enough to try and understand the things about you they don't appreciate, and commit yourself to being a better person for your partner.
This is so good because it takes us to our next point, which is unwillingness to compromise.
Yeah.
Some people destroy their relationships just because at a point they were not willing to compromise, to something that was happening.
Yeah. As long as we remain two different people, we won't always agree on the same things.
Exactly.
And so sometimes we'll be at different sides on one particular matter.
Yes, because right now you are dealing with cultural differences, different upbringing, even the mere fact that he's a man and you're a woman. That is enough.
It makes you think differently, right?
Yes.
And if you have not seen our video on the things we disagreed on when we're planning our wedding, you can look up there and check out the video, because a lot of things we disagreed on came up and we had to find a way to deal with them. And so back to this point, as a couple, you won't always agree. And so at some point, you must make a decision and say that I do not agree with this thing, but I'll let you have your way anyways. Because if you are constantly having your way, your partner won't be happy. And I mean, you don't get into a relationship just to become miserable. And so if your partner is miserable, if he or she finds someone who makes them happy, what will they do? Stay or leave?
No, walk away.
Yeah. So we won't always agree, but sometimes you must make a conscious effort. You must say that, "Oh, you know what, have your way." And that doesn't mean that if your partner has his or her way and whatever is done fails, it is an opportunity to say that I told you so.
Number one culprit.
You don't gloat and begin to say, I told you so. I told you, let's do it like this. You disagreed, and now this is what we are
That is
going
me,
through.
but I'm changing.
Yeah, so
I think you should change as well.
That's when you say, you know what, we've learned a good lesson. Now we know how to do it better.
The last and final thing we would like to talk about is the point of disrespect.
Yeah.
And some people think that the only way you can disrespect someone is when you insult them. But I think that even when you agree on a time and you do not stick to the time, that in itself is disrespectful.
Yes. And so, ladies, when you are going out with your husbands and your partners, try to be on time. If you know you are leaving at 8 o'clock, wake up at 6 o'clock, do all the makeup.
And they're gonna phone you now and disrespectful.
But then also, sometimes when you are upset, how do you respond to your partner? Are you cheeky? All of these can put people off and make them very unhappy. And so that's something we ought to look at. There are different ways that you can be disrespectful, and you ought to be conscious about how you relate with your partner. You always must treat them with respect. Cheating in itself is disrespectful.
Well, family, this is where we draw the curtain on today's video. If you find value in this, in what we are doing, kindly subscribe. We encourage you to subscribe. We encourage you to like and click on the notification bell so you do not miss any video we post.
Yeah. Until we come your way again, do take care, and it's bye from us.